Good evening, welcome to the Shay for the most prestigious game since Halifax entertained the Australian national side in the early 1990s. The Melbourne Storm, the team of the moment in Australia, minor league premiers and ultimately champions of Australia last season, beating finalists in 2006. A club that's only 10 years old. They won the championship as well in 1999 under a certain Chris Henderson, who also coached Halifax to a championship win in the 1980s at Thrum Hall. And the only two clubs that have played before over 100,000 people. It was a long time ago for Halifax in the 1950s. Melbourne Storm on the opening day of Stadium, Australia, before the Olympic Games earlier this century. And the presentations going on, there's a massive crowd, expectations high. The Shay has been buzzing and the tills have been ringing. Over 3,000 people in the Shay this evening. Matt Callan picks from his 22 available senior players. Shad Royston at fullback, Lee Patterson at 2, John Goddard at 3, Mike Rattu at 4, Andy Smith at 5, Graham Allroyd at 6, Mick Govin at 7, Paul Southern 8, Sean Penkovic 9, David Wrench is 10, David Laird at 11, Danny Eaton 12, Paul Smith at 13. The subs for Halifax, and there are plenty of them. 14 is Miles Greenwood, 15 Craig Kopchak, 16 Dana Wilson, Frank Watini wears 17, Richard Varkulis in 18, Andy Gorski in 19, James Haley in 20, Lee Greenwood 21, Damien Gibson in 22. For the Melbourne Storm, there's half a dozen Australian internationals. There's 8 or 9 who have also played State of Origin, and the ones that haven't have played representative rugby at virtually every age level up to senior squads. And there's a massive task for Halifax tonight, stopping the current Australian champions who take on Halifax in this curtain raiser before they meet Leeds in the World Cup Challenge next week. Billy Slater at 1, Steve Turner at 2, Will Chambers, who is being touted as the next Matt King, at number 3. Israel Folau, a giant centre, currently in negotiations with several clubs. $500,000 offers on the table for the 18-year-old. The youngest ever Australian representative last season at 17 years and 34 days. Made his debut last season for the Storm. Only wanted a couple of run-outs with his ambition. Well, he played 27 games and scored 21 tries. And he is the man to watch tonight. Anthony Quinn at number 5, Russell Aitken at 6, Cooper Cronk at 7, Jeff Lima at 8, Matt Geyer, the Storm's longest-serving player who played in that final in 1999. He's also the club's record point scorer. Scored 242 points in that winning season of 99. Moves into the scrum half position. The hooking position. Brett White's at 10, Jeremy Smith, New Zealand international at 11, Ryan Hoffman, Australian international 12, 13 Dallas Johnson, made captain for tonight. On the bench, Antonio Kafusi at 14, Adam Blair at 15, Sika Manu at 16, 17 Sam Tagataise, Ben McDougall who wears 18, Dale Nielsen at 19, Aidan Tolman at 20, Liam Foran at 21. And a bitterly cold night for a highly charged, expectant crowd at the Shay. An icy wind blowing across the Shay for this Carnegie Challenge. Carnegie seem to be the sponsors of just about everything in rugby league at the moment. Challenge Cup, Leeds Rhinos of course the sponsor, and sponsoring this match this evening. And I suppose with the wind chill factor probably taking it below freezing, it's tropical to some of this Melbourne side, considering the -5, -6 temperatures they were greeted with at Heathrow Airport on their arrival in the country earlier this week. And they trained on Sunday in 34 degrees centigrade at Princes Park in Australia. And after the introductions and the obligatory photograph, it's finally time to get it on. And the thing about Melbourne Storm is their attacking capability is phenomenal. Billy Slater, 117 appearances for the Storm, has racked up 70 tries. Steve Turner's scored 35 tries in 55 appearances. But along with that attacking ability is the ability to defend. They went through last season in the NRL losing only 2 games and didn't concede more than 2 tries in any of the matches. They warmed up with a canter against the team they beat in the grand final, Manly, a couple of weeks ago with a 56-10 victory. An expectation will be high for Halifax coaching staff that the side can put in a creditable performance. It's the biggest night of some of these players' careers. It's not every day that Billy Slater will get to play against Halifax. So Halifax to kick off on the back of a superb performance on Sunday against Whitehaven. The short kick going 10 metres, but the Storm alert to it, and now there's a flurry of activity as people moving into position for the Melbourne Storm. Geyer at acting half. Out to Ryan Hoffman. Hoffman stopped 5 metres inside the Halifax half. There are Storm players queuing up around the ball. Brett White drives it up to the 40. Takes 3 to stop him. Geyer in at acting half. Steve Ganson's the referee. Well, his whistle won't have had time to cool down since Sunday. He gave an absolute bag full of penalties. Halifax have penned back as Hoffman, the first runner, drops it off to Brett White. Brett White takes it 14 metres from the line. Storm charging forward, and again there's another penalty given by Steve Ganson. Halifax got a sackful in the first quarter on Sunday. He's going against him this time as Jeff Lima charges the ball up. 4 defenders waiting, and Halifax, with the assistance of 2 penalties, defending on their own line, with Cooper Cronk gets the ball away to Slater. Slater gives it to Falau, but he drops the ball. Slater drops on the ball, but it was knocked on by the centre. Steve Ganson has given the penalty for offside anyway, and Holroyd will kick against the wind. Puts the ball into touch. Larder met by 3 on the 40 metre line. Slow to get up from the play of the ball. Paul Southern. Still Halifax on the 40. Dave Wrench charges it forward. Well, Steve Ganson was keen to blow the whistle on the holding down on Sunday. Was blown the whistle this time, but it's a hand around the head. And Halifax opted to run the ball. They're facing against a strong wind in this first half, looking for the advantage. On the far side, it's Paul Smith who runs into another 3-man tackle. Halifax up to the Melbourne Storm 30. Penkovic looking for a darting run, skips round 2, and then he's all wrapped up by Brett White initially. Support from Matt Geyer and Jeff Lima. Holroyd has the runners, good ball to Goddard, but the defence is quick and Steve Ganson's patient has worn out. He's seen a flop from Steve Turner. Holroyd, Penkovic to Paul Southern. Southern gets the ball away to Mick Govin. Govin all wrapped up, nowhere to go. 22 metres out. Halifax lose a couple of metres. And now they've made it back, they've got the ball away. Paul Smith looks round for support, gets the ball away, it's scrappy. And Halifax can't keep possession under the pressure on the floor. Huge turnout for this evening's game. Everybody's interested in Halifax. Cameras here from Sky, Yorkshire Television, and of course Carnegie, and also and me and Steve. We're always here. We'll still be here when they're not interested on Tuesday night when we're playing Keighley. At the moment all the interest focused on stopping Melbourne Storm moving forward, and Halifax and they turn the man round and push him back. It's Jerry Smith, the New Zealand international, on that occasion. That's a great ball, opens up the defence, and Brett White gets it away. Slater in support, and Slater's dropped the ball off the pass from Russell Aitken. Well, that should have been 4 points there. Not the best of passes from Aitken to the fullback Billy Slater. But the Melbourne defence there, the attacking was sublime, the support play, good passes offloading, splitting the Halifax defence. Halifax can be thankful that Billy Slater has got cold hands. He knocks on, gives possession back. Andy Smith comes in off the wing. Penkovic to Paul Southern. And Paul Southern stopped by 3 on the 30. Penkovic from acting half with wrenching support, but goes for the gap. Finds the Brett White and Matt Geyer stood in his way. Halifax charging forward. Danny Heaton takes it over halfway. Good progress from Halifax back into the Melbourne half. Holroyd kicks to put pressure on Slater, but Slater, if he gets any room, is a stepper, and off he goes Slater. A good tackle coming from Paul Southern, but Slater showing the pace there to step away from 3. Billy Slater, the kind of player that will run across the defence till he finds a gap. Ganson put the whistle to the mouth, but didn't blow it. It looked high from Larder. Jeff Lima drives the ball up to the 20. To the left hand side, Geyer turns it inside to Dallas Johnson. Johnson put down 10 metres out. Back to Cooper Cronk, whose kick will find space and then go over the dead ball line. Come back for the tap on the 20. Boos from the crowd, and I think Steve Ganson explaining that quick play the ball is not allowed under international rules. So that clarifies that one. Paul Southern, the bust through 2, but the Melbourne defence had dropped off the tackle as soon as Ganson blew his whistle. For whatever reason he blew it, as Wrench falls to 3 after making 5 metres. Penkovic has Danny Heaton running back on the inside, and Danny Heaton gets over the 30. Penkovic away from acting half, and Penkovic almost catching the defence napping there and complaining. I think there may have been a high tackle as Mike Rattu tries to get through on that far side. Danny Heaton again over the 40 and almost up to the 30. Last tackle. Back to McGovern. Halifax's turn to kick, and he's turned Slater around, and that is near the post. Slater does well to take it, and he steps to, gets the ball away. Melbourne playing a dangerous game. Halifax had numbers in defence with Patterson in there first with Allroyd. Another good tackle by Paul Smith, it needed to be. Jeremy Smith. Good strong run, making 12 or 13 metres. Takes him up towards the 40. Gaia waits at half back, has men inside, and Brett White never even looked up there, just got the ball away to front row partner Jeff Lima. Matt Gaia plays the ball quickly, last tackle, and Cooper Cronk will drill it down towards Shad Royston, has to go behind his own line to collect it, and almost copped a stray arm there. And Halifax having to do the hard work away from their own line. And Melbourne will be putting pressure on. Halifax struggling to make any ground. Paul Southern drives it up, but there's a posse of defenders, and there's also one or two players offside, says Steve Ganson. Another penalty. Allroyd with the tap. Larder gets it away to Goddard. Goddard tries stepping inside, but Cronk downstairs, follow upstairs. Penkovic throws the dummy, catches one in the face for his troubles. It looked Lima had a trailing arm there, and he felt that one as Penkovic. Larder drives it up. Good tackle by Follow, and again there's a flop, and again it's Steve Turner. This time Allroyd using the touchline, being a little bit closer. And Allroyd will take the first play. Penkovic to Paul Southern. Paul Southern with wrenching support, decides to go down under the pressure of 4 on the 20-metre line. Now Wrench will run it up, gets it around the back to McGovern. Govin ducking under a swinging arm there, he'd already been tackled. On that far side, Smith gets it away, and Mike Ratu charges towards that line, and he's almost there. Mike Ratu, of course, a Leeds player on loan for the season, still taking up some of his training duties in Leeds, and having his Leeds teammates taking the mickey bit. Penkovic kicks forward as he got over the line. He's got the ball back. The last tackle, it touched a Melbourne Storm player. And here comes Slater now on the counter-attack, this time electing not to pass. Well, that's the closest he's been to a score so far, as Falou drives the ball out over the 20. Nearest scoring chance going to Halifax. Halifax supporters think there should have been 6 more there. Steve Ganson disagreed and said it came off the man rather than the man playing the ball. And already back with Jeff Lima to the 40-metre line. Cronk opts for the kick. There's a ball went down, but there's a reaction from Paul Smith to pick the ball up. Unfortunately, he was in an offside position. And that a bit of a let-off really, as Cronk takes a quick tap and gives it to Brett White, and he plunders 10 metres. Matt Gaia to Jeff Lima. Both Lima and Brett White making hard yards up the middle for the Melbourne Storm. Whistle goes again. So Dallas Johnson stopped in his tracks, but Melbourne with the advantage. 12 metres out from the Halifax line. Cronk. The runner is Jeff Lima. Lima stopped 6-7 metres out. Options either side for Gaia. As he gets it away, this could be a first try, but Hoffman's shot short off Aitken's pass, but another penalty. 10 penalties in 12 minutes. And still Melbourne Storm not over the line. Gaia trying the run round and losing possession in the process. What is Steve Ganson going to give? Well, there's no option to give Halifax possession, and Melbourne Storm were out of the blocks there. Halifax being put under pressure again defensively. Craig Kopchak on for Halifax. Paul Southern charges the ball up. First man in, Jeremy Smith. And offside again. David Wrench up the middle into 3. Craig Kopchak replacing Paul Southern. Frank Watini also stripped off and ready to come on, as Penkovic thought about the pass, which might have been forward there. Quick ball out from Govin to Mike Rattu, who's doing his best to try and shake the defence off. Gets it back to Shad Royston, and Shad Royston runs into the same trouble and almost the same spot the pass was released. Craig Kopchak, Watini on his shoulder, who's replaced David Wrench. Holroyd kicks across and Slater does well for that and gets back to the 20. Well, they've been taking them for a long time in the NRL now, as Billy Slater. Well, they've got quite a good coaching setup with Craig Bellamy, who's managed to take the Melbourne Storm into the Australian finals in every year that he's held that coaching position. 2003, 4, 5, 6 and 7. And he's just been named this week as the new South Wales State of Origin coach. His assistant Stephen Keane has been given the New Zealand job. That could bounce anywhere, and it's going to bounce favourably. Or is it? Was it gone forward? It's gone forward off the man. So that'll come back, but that was that came down with snow on. Penkovic will have to wait. There's backspin on the ball. Frank Watini will drive it up. We'll find this defence tonight a little bit tougher than the ones he'll meet throughout the regular season. But Halifax taking the ball forward. Richard Varkulis preparing to come on for Halifax, as Andy Smith makes good yards up the middle to the centre spot. Kopchak off the short ball and makes another 10 metres. Danny Heaton is off for Richard Varkulis as Larder drives the ball forward, legs pumping. Halifax heading towards that Melbourne line, but it's the last tackle. John Goddard turns it inside. Royston waiting for the ball, but it came loose, but it'll be a turnover after a couple of knock-ons. Melbourne wasting no time in setting the ball rolling and getting the attack moving with Jeremy Smith. Good hassling from Kopchak on Steve Turner. Gaia gets the ball away. Good chase on, and Billy Slater. Royston against Slater, and Royston did enough to slow Billy Slater down, but the quick play of the ball might pay dividends, but it's good hassling by Varkulis. Last tackle, Cooper Cronk off the outside of the foot. Unfortunately, ball not taken in by Lee Patterson. That'll put more pressure on Halifax as Goddard tried to race away.
Melbourne Storm on, number 15 is Adam Blair, and number 8 coming off is Jeff Lehman.
One or two players looking to impress in this Melbourne side in the absence of Michael Crocker, Cameron Smith and Greg Inglis. Cameron Smith's wife expecting a child, and Greg Inglis and Michael Crocker both having shoulder operations during the off-season. All three state of origin and Australian internationals. They'll be there's no doubt seeing the DVD of this when it gets back to Australia. Melbourne on the attack, Halifax snuffing it out so far and doing it tough on defence, and there's a ball out there and Holroyd finally reels the ball in. Jeremy Smith was ready to pounce, but Halifax are going to, well, easy meters. Sika Manu, who's just come on for the Melbourne Storm, not letting Holroyd up to play the ball. Holroyd accepting the easy meters that the kick brought. And now the hard meters to be made up the middle. Andy Smith comes inside again. Penkovic goes from acting half, and Penkovic still going. Ball goes loose. It comes up for Goddard, and Goddard, no space to go with Smith and Falou quick to close him down. Watini waiting for the ball there, dragging the defence forward, wants to get up and play it quickly, but not allowed by the Melbourne defence. Holroyd takes it from Larder up to the 20-metre line. Last tackle signalled by Steve Ganson. Shad Royston puts the ball back to Govin, and that one a tester for Falou, and the ball comes down, and Patterson the first to receive it. Watini gets it inside, and Goddard will put Halifax into the lead against the Australian champions. And everybody in the seated areas of this ground on the feet to applaud Goddard's try. Falou put under pressure. Well, they reckon he can take the ball in the air because he's such a big man, but he was put under pressure. The ball came swirling down. Patterson picked it up. Frank Watini turned up in support on his right hand shoulder, and Frank Watini saw John Goddard unmarked, slip the pass, and Goddard goes over, and it's Halifax 4, Melbourne Storm 0. And next week's opponents, Leeds, are I think they're on Sky tonight, but I wonder if this score will be flashed up around the Leeds ground this evening and on Sky. I'm sure somebody already knows. And if Leeds is full with 18,000 again, there'll be another 18,000 cheering for Halifax after that try from John Goddard. Kick from Holroyd, finds the mark. Halifax 6, Melbourne Storm 0.
Successful conversion for the man in his diamond suit, Will Holroyd.
Is from Falou, and Watini brings it back to the defence. Absolutely incredible. Halifax 6, Melbourne Storm 0. And it's been up to now a fairly evenly matched game, really. I would say Penkovic tries to get away, slips the ball away in the tackle to Andy Smith. It goes out, but it goes backwards. Kopchak gets it to Royston, and Royston's jumped on the 40-metre line. Jeremy Smith looked a little high there. Kopchak throws the dummy, then drives it forward over halfway. Midway through the first half, and Larder drives it up, tries to spin out of the tackle, gets himself over the 40. Last tackle again. Penkovic down the short side, gets it away to Patterson. Patterson turns it inside. Penkovic can't take the ball in, but Halifax will get the penalty because there was an obstruction from a Melbourne Storm defender. And had he not been obstructed, that would have been a certain try. And ironic really that when Halifax may have had a penalty try, the Rugby League have done away with it. I'm not sure if it counts in the international game still. But Halifax gets 6 more towards the line. Watini drives it into 4. 10 metres to the left-hand side of the post. Royston turns it back. He goes into 4. They're sliding across with the Melbourne defence. McGovern steps inside, seeing the opportunity, steps another one, takes it back, still 4 metres away. Penkovic gets the ball away, but Steve Ganson has blown the whistle, and I think it's a forward pass. Well, the pressure from Halifax, it's coming thick and fast until that knock on. Certainly a spring in the step since that try from Goddard, with Holroyd's conversion. 6-0 lead, and the defence needing to do the work now. Andy Smith in with Goddard in defence. Kopchak in with a big shoulder charge then. But problems here as Steve Turner breaks the defence. Billy Slater will turn Patterson one way then the other on the way to a 70-metre try, which well, they made the mistake in Halifax under the post when they were putting the pressure on, and the Melbourne Storm with the likes of Turner and Slater, no slouches, and the full length of the field try, and all that work undone by the Australian champions Melbourne with the first try, and Gaia under the post with the kick. Is it? Well, it appears to be Matt Gaia that's taking the kicks. It's Steve Turner. Well, he's kicked 5 goals. Well, it's taken an awful long time to say he's in front of the post, but the outcome is a success for Steve Turner, and a score of Halifax 6, Melbourne Storm 6. Halifax making more changes. Miles Greenwood on the field. Paul Smith taking a breather. Most Melbourne changes going unannounced. That's another thunderous shoulder charge from Kopchak, standing his ground. Although Sika Manu he's not the easiest man to put down. Cronk on the forte, and that ball standing up at the second bounce for Royston, but what a chase by Cooper Cronk on his own kick, with Falou Larder under pressure on the 20. Miles Greenwood, first run at the defence. Not giving him much room, but still pumping the legs under pressure from the tacklers on his way towards the forte. Paul Southern turns it back inside. Andy Smith gets it away to McGovern, and Govin not given any time to continue the forward momentum. Holroyd with the kick on the last tackle, looking to put the pressure on again. Slater underneath, a drifting high ball, but cutting loose down the middle of the field. Has support from Sam Tagatiasa. Unfortunately for Halifax, his first touch ended in disappointment as Patterson wrestles Fallu to the ground. Good tackle against he's a giant of a man, 18-year-old. But so far, kept quiet. Cronk. Oh, this time will be Tagatiasi making up for that error. No problem there. Perfect pass from Cronk. And no defence from Halifax to stop the number 17 going over for a quick second try for the Melbourne Storm. It's Halifax 6, Melbourne Storm 10. Turner left, a difficult kick, 6 metres in from the touchline in a swirling wind, and it's pulled to the right hand side, so the lead stays at 10-6.
Okay, trying to stall was number 17, Sam Tagatias.
So on the half hour, it's the most dangerous time, thinks Matt Calland, against an elite team. Halifax have got part-timers in the National League One. Melbourne Storm, champions of Australia, full-time Megabucks players. At the moment, Halifax are giving as good as they get, and had it not been for that mistake under the post, which led to that try, and oh, great hit by Kopchak again. Well, Melbourne man on the far side claimed for the 6, and Steve Ganson agreed and waved the tackle count down. Not really sure that should have been the decision, because Kopchak went in with a big shoulder charge, dislodged the ball. Johnson, short pass to Hoffman, one for Slater to chase off the boot, and Royston does well to take the ball and avoid the tackle of Billy Slater. And Halifax managed to get back to the 20. Patterson inside looking for a bit of a run, and it is only a bit of a run as it's only 3 or 4 metres. Andy Smith making 7 or 8 more. Kafusi prowling up and down the touchline, waiting to come on. As Penkovic happy just to drill it down, and that's easy for Billy Slater as he sets up the counter attack and then drops the shoulder and looks inside, gets back to the 40. A good kick return for the Storm fullback, and messing about at the play of the ball. Steve Ganson gives the 14th penalty of the first half to Melbourne. Halifax looking to hang on till half time as Hoffman charges the ball up to the 40. And Kafus is the dummy runner as Melbourne stack players up on this side of the field. But Halifax move across and push the ball carrier back a couple of metres. The ball carrier is Steve Turner. Ben McDougall on now for the Melbourne Storm. Slater to the short side, Cronk. The runner is Tagataisi, the scorer of that last Melbourne try. He's stopped 15 metres out. Falou gives it inside to Cronk. Cronk to Johnson. Johnson to Russell Aitken. And Aitken gets the ball away to Hoffman, but Hoffman brought down 5 metres away. Last tackle, can Halifax hold out? The ball out wide, there's a kick through, but that ball will run harmlessly over the dead ball line. Penkovic takes the quick one again. Greenwood's pulled back. Well, it's the international rules, although why? Rather strange that a sport should have different sets of rules, but there are different rules, and there it is. The international rule says there's no quick tap on the 20. That's why Halifax are pulled back again. Varkoulis over halfway. Halifax making progress away from their own line and now being rewarded with a penalty. Melbourne can't have any complaints. They've stopped the lying on and the flopping, which brought penalties earlier on, and now they're desperate to keep the ball alive. Penkovic first to react, but he's finding it extremely difficult to get through these rather large full-time Australian professionals, as you would expect. 10 points to 6. It's a brave performance so far by Halifax. Royston the runner onto Holroyd's pass, and they've obviously been watching the video as McDougall is all over Holroyd. That takes Halifax's penalty count into double figures and also gives him another crack at the line. Paul Southern carts the ball up into 3 tacklers. Penkovic goes from acting half, gets it to Kopchak, but the ball is spilled and a knock-on has been given, and Halifax blow another chance as Danny Heaton comes back on for Richard Varkoulis. Well, it's fast and it's physical, and much faster than Halifax have played against in the last couple of seasons, that's for sure. Well, they're only trailing 10 points to 6. And, not asking for any more than Halifax to give their best, and they've given their best so far. Unfortunately, a cold night call causing a couple of errors and coughing up easy possession. But Halifax need to do it in defence. The quick ball and the support play from Melbourne, second to none, and that's brought the 2 tries that they've scored so far. As Dallas Johnson, the captain, drives the ball over the 40-metre line. Slater waits at acting half, gets it to Aitken. Aitken gets his pass away, but Halifax sticking to the man with the ball. Ryan Hoffman again, last tackle, back to Cronk, who'll put some hair on that one, and it's well taken by Patterson, chased down by Falou and Ben McDougall, but the pressure is immense again. Falou making a second and a third tackle under the post. Halifax desperate to cling on till the half-time hooter. Danny Heaton is brought down. Halifax struggling to break out of the 20. Miles Greenwood takes 10 metres up towards a 30, but it's the last tackle, and that looked like there was a big appeal for a penalty as Penkovic gets the ball away. Down to Turner, who's drifted across to the other side of the field, but the chase is not the best, but it's not bad. Halifax moving up as one, making the tackle as Turner got over the 40. Anthony Quinn gets to the Halifax 40. Melbourne Storm players stood around the ball. Sika Manu into the tackle of Andy Gorski and Craig Kopchak. Kick for Falou to take. Well, it's no problem. Falou this time taking the ball out of the air. Halifax without a winger on this side of the field, and Falou makes up for his mistake in defence, and the wind seems to have dropped a little bit as the centre goes in for the Melbourne Storm's third try. Israel Falou makes it Halifax 6, Melbourne Storm 14. And Turner gets to kick from even further away from the post. Well, nobody at home for Halifax in defence. It was a shoe-in for Falou. Steve Turner lines up his third attempt. Successful with one so far. And the wind, which seems to have dropped, seems to have got back up again, which is just going to add to the difficulty of the kick. Well, right direction, but not the distance for Steve Turner. We approach half-time with Halifax trailing by 14 points to 6, but not without a valiant effort, and they went in the lead with a try from John Goddard after Falou dropped the ball. There was all sorts of a mess about. Patterson picking it up, Martini in support on the inside, and Goddard sent the fans wild as Halifax took the lead. Holroyd converted at 6-0, but it didn't take Melbourne Storm long to reply after a mistake under the post from Penkovic. Breaking away, Slater it was on the end of the pass from Turner under the post. Turner to convert at 6 points all, and then moments later his first touch of the ball, and he fell to his knees, did Tagataise, but he got up to make amends of a short pass from Cooper Cronk to go in for the second. Falau took the ball out of the air unopposed for the third try, and at half time, after a valiant effort, it's Halifax 6, Melbourne Storm 14. A long hold up before the first half, hold up before the second. Referee Steve Ganson happy. I think a large number of this Halifax crowd will be happy as well at Halifax 6, Melbourne Storm 14. And under immense pressure straight from the kick-off, and I think Craig Bellamet will have had one or two words to say to his troops at half-time. And the result is an explosive start in the first two tackles of this second half. Miles Greenwood getting clattered, and Halifax are really going to be closed down, and they're going to have a lot of work in defence to do in this second half. And it's hard to see that effort can be maintained in the second half. They were tremendous for 25 minutes, half an hour of the first half, but struggling to make ground away from their own line, only to the 20-metre line after 5 tackles as Holroyd gets the ball, then throws it out wide. They're looking to catch men outside, but there's Melbourne Storm defences covering across. All depends on the bounce, and the bounce has favoured Halifax. Who gets to the ball? And it is McDougall, who's put down by Kopchak on the 40. Turner going away from acting half, marked closely, and a penalty given against Lee Greenwood. Well, I reckon it was the same amount of seconds in the first half that Steve Ganson blew for Melbourne Storm's first penalty. Well, they got further away from the line than they expected, and then gave away the penalty, which has given Melbourne the territory back. 25 metres out from the Halifax line. Dallas Johnson slips the ball away. There was a few sharp intakes of breath there with reference to a high tackle. Short ball from Cronk, put down again. It's Taga Taisi, the try scorer from the first half, and that short pass really did push Halifax in the first half, because the speed at which the support player was hitting the gaps was first class, as you would expect from potential World Club champions next week. Halifax are playing at the moment either the first or second best team, rugby league team in the world. It'll be decided against Leeds next week which position they take. Been a few calls to get the World Club Challenge back to Australia, and despite Great Britain's inability to beat the Australians, English clubs have won 6 out of the last 8 World Club Championships, including the last one in Australia, in Brisbane in fact, when the Wigan Warriors beat Brisbane in their own backyard. And current Halifax football director Martin Hall was a member of that victorious squad, as Anthony Quinn brings the ball back effectively from the kick to the 40-metre line. Ben McDougall going inside into Haley and Greenwood. 5 metres from halfway, stacking men on the short side again. It's that short pass, this time to Hoffman, but Smith taking Hoffman out almost as quickly as he got the ball. Slater linking up now, the ball out wide to Turner, and Turner has pace on that far side, but what a tremendous tackle from Greenwood. I think it was Lee Greenwood on that far side, but Melbourne Storm not finished yet. Ground getting the better of this attack as the Melbourne Storm man falls, and Steve Ganson signalled the last tackle and then has awarded Melbourne a penalty for a flop. Kafuset loses the ball. Halifax will come away from their own post with Miles Greenwood into Russell Aitken. Tackle count starts now. That's the first of the 6. Halifax a bit more effective this time in getting the ball away from their own line. Smothering defence still from Melbourne as Halifax try and move forward. Holroyd moves it out wide to Goddard on that far side. Goddard tried to bring Greenwood on the inside, and Greenwood half a yard too far in front of the pass, and the ball goes into touch. Another Halifax attack breaks down through a mistake. Oh, Melbourne will set up the attack again from inside their own half. Players running from deep. McDougall has support from Quinn. Quinn fancies the outside, but the Halifax defence moving across. Penkovic drops out onto the wing. McDougall gets up and plays the ball. Hoffman, one of a tree of international back rows who started this game. Cronk, another Australian international too. Kafuset on the 20-metre line. Geyer gets it away, but another big shoulder charge, and again it looks like Kopchak, and Lima stopped dead in his tracks. Johnson keeps it alive. Aitken does well to take it out of the air, but Aitken manages to get over, just slipped Haley as he went across, I think it was, and managed to stretch over the line. Had already had one go and seen the defence coming across, and had the fortune to be facing the right way as he managed to swerve his body out of the way. First points of the second half to Melbourne Storm standoff. Russell, Aitken Halifax 6, Melbourne Storm 20 at 18. So, Turner, I think with the wind behind his back, it seems to have turned round from the first half, or it's swirling round. Still looking for his second success, Steve Turner. Still looking for his second success. Well, Matt Geyer is the regular kicker. Whether he's resting an injury or not, I'm not sure, but he's standing Steve Turner. He's not doing a very good job for him. Just one success from 4 attempts, and Turner's actually been brought off the field. So perhaps Geyer, if needed again, will go back to the kicking duties. Will Chambers drives the ball up. Only played a handful of games so far as Will Chambers, but has already been dubbed the new Matt King, who of course left at Melbourne Storm to join Warrington this season. They've lost 2 or 3 influential players, but they've got plenty in reserve. A Slater is clattered to the ground. Great tackle by Gorski. Cronk kicking, trying to put Royston under pressure, but Royston gets absolutely clobbered for his troubles. Obviously looked worse than it was. And a duck under a swinging arm there, was it? Must be a penalty. John Goddard playing for and winning the penalty. Holroyd with the 20-metre kick. Takes it up to the 40. And Halifax go in search of a spell in the Melbourne half of the field as Penkovic gets to the 40, then gets the ball away. Like Gorski again, I think, driving the ball forward. And again, Melbourne slowing the play down as Halifax look to Govin to bring Royston into the line as he steps one and then gets dumped by Aitken. Govin uses the short side again, kicks to put Slater under pressure, and Slater will be put under almighty pressure by James Haley and forced over the cameraman who's behind the line. Well, the one cameraman got a close up there he didn't bargain for as Slater and Haley went over the top of him. Doesn't call for any attention. Kopchak under the ball, takes it back up to the Melbourne 40. And 16, Dana Wilson driving the ball hard and strong into the Melbourne defence. Gets up one of the quickest plays, but Miles Greenwood puts it down, and McDougall quick to take up the counter attack for Melbourne. And once again Halifax being punished and pushed back for the mistakes they've made with Geyer to Cronk. 2 metres from halfway. Brett White back on the field. Quick play the ball from Geyer and Penkovic all over him. Well, Penkovic looked round for support there. Geyer, I think, looked at the referee, and somehow Melbourne keep the ball alive. Larder was in strongly, and now they're being caught from acting half with a run from Chambers. which has put Halifax back 10 metres away from their own line. Will it be Cronk to kick? It is off the side of his foot. There's a pressure on here as it come down in Melbourne's favour. It looks like it. Halifax undone by the kick again. Halifax caught out wide. Penkovic and Lada both made the effort there, but they didn't have the backup in defence to complete the tackle, which allowed Melbourne to keep the ball alive and going for another score. And Ben McDougall, number 18, who was the first man onto that ball to start the counter-attack when Miles Greenwood lost possession, was a man on the receiving end as the ball came down. A bit of a scramble, but McDougall's put it down, and it's Halifax 6, Melbourne Storm 22. And Jeremy Smith has taken over the kicking duties. Touch judges coming in for some stick as they take up position behind the post for this attempt from Jeremy Smith. And now Jeremy Smith receiving the attention of the crowd, having trouble placing the ball on the kicking tee. Frank Watini and Paul Smith are ready to come back on, and Jeremy Smith is taking an absolute age over this one. I hope it's worth the wait. The New Zealand international metering from the touchline. Biggest cheer of the night for Jeremy Smith. Perhaps he'll get somebody else to try and kick now. Short kick-off from Halifax. Geyer underneath. Ball caught just outside the 20. Big hit from on Lima by Frank Watini, driving in with a shoulder, and Paul Smith there as well, just back on the field. And Frank Watini and Smith are there again with Haley. Ryan Hoffman. Stop 5 metres from halfway. Dana Wilson, last man up from the tackle. Lima driving the ball up to the 40. And this time it's Aitken who'll put the ball in the air. Royston waits underneath it, but the ball has bounced unkindly for him, but not for John Goddard, who will pick up the pieces. Well, the wind swirling the ball round. Lee Greenwood steps inside one, gets to the 20, but the defence regroups itself. Bring him down. Andy Smith not allowed to get into his stride by the Melbourne defence as they move in quickly. Dana Wilson drives the ball up. Frank Watini waits for the next run, takes the ball inside and gets it away. Well, Halifax have ball handlers in abundance in the pack at the start of this season, with Paul Southern, Frank Watini, Greenwood chasing up to Billy Slater, and Slater's not attempted to get up and play the ball. He'll have to eventually. Well, Steve Ganson shouldn't have given Billy Slater that much time, because the advantage for Melbourne is that the defenders, or the defenders that were, are now back in the attacking line and allowed to drive the ball away, while Slater messes about on the floor. Lee Greenwood almost beat him to the chase and stood over him for long enough, and this is where Melbourne could be dangerous. Man outside, McDougall again, and Smith will chase him down into touch. Great tackle from Andy Smith. McDougall can't believe it, but you've been hammered, son, and you're over the line. Tried to leave the ball in field. James Haley stepping inside, almost away, but Slater knocking him off balance. Frank Wattini will charge the ball up. And I'm not sure Ryan Hoffman was back the full 10 then. Dana Wilson charges into 3. Mick Govin waits acting half. Penkovic, long ball out wide to Holroyd. Holroyd has Royston running off the short ball round the outside. Away to Goddard. Can they get another one? And Paul Smith. I think it was, not Goddard. Halifax need to build again. Penkovic to Royston. Govin runs at the defence, gets it back to Danny Heaton. And there was a 4-pointer on there for Halifax. All it needed was the pass. I think it was Paul Smith that kept the ball. Penkovic tries to get it away. It's a knock on. Again, under the Melbourne post. Halifax pressuring. It'll be a turnover. Well, Halifax certainly testing Melbourne out and would have scored another try there had the pass gone out. There was Lee Greenwood on the far side shaking his hands in frustration. And again, Halifax defending on the back of mistake. And look at the yards that Melbourne have made already, up to the 40-metre line with Lima. Gaia from acting half. Cronk calling for the put it back to 0 when Gaia still had the ball in his arm. And the impact of the tackle, there was a slap on the ball. Hear the noise from up here, but Gaia didn't actually release the pass, and so it's the last tackle. Cronk off the outside of the boot again for Slater to chase. Royston waits for the ball, and Slater in turn waits for Royston to get up and play the ball. There's messing about, they play the ball again. Paul Smith. The Melbourne defenders all over Halifax man as Wattini drives it into a 3-man tackle, gets over the 40-metre line. Holroyd, little chip over the top. Who's going to be the first to it? Well, it's bounced kindly into the arms of Ryan Hoffman. Slater stepping. And Halifax have been run for the flop again when Melbourne have been slowing the play down for the last 10 minutes. Gaia to Brett White, charging to the Halifax defence. Melbourne still looking as fresh now as they did in the first minute. Halifax being tested in defence again. Conceded 2 tries so far in this half as Slater tries to go around the outside and he's put down. Jeremy Smith charging the ball into 2 defenders, 5 metres away from the line. Halifax looking for a big effort in defence, but there are men queuing up on the outside here. Will Chambers will try to step inside, but Halifax somehow managed to get men across. They looked a little frail there. Melbourne looked to have a lot of the field to run at, but they were closed down. And a big effort from Ryan Hoffman there. But again, the Halifax defence are there to make the tackle. That must have been offside, surely. Well, Halifax being tested again. As Melbourne charge forward, David Wrench. Swamped by 3 defenders. Halifax struggling to make the metres away from their own line. Yet to reach the 20, still 3 metres away from there. As Mick Govin looks for a gap, doesn't find one. And Halifax will rely on Holroyd's boot for a kick against the wind. A little chip over the top again. Who's there first? It's come off a Melbourne hand. Halifax will get 6 more. There's no question about it. Cooper Cronk is in no rush to give Halifax the possession. So what's he going to give now then, Steve Ganson? Steve Ganson giving Halifax the penalty. They'd already got the possession, but then Cooper Cronk came up with the ball. Should that not have been a penalty to Halifax? Well, they've got the scrum. Royston. Dana Wilson replaced by Paul Southern, and Damien Gibson on for Andy Smith, who's done a ton of work again running the ball up. And that memorable tackle on McDougall down this close touchline a couple of minutes ago. McDougall also off the field for the Melbourne Storm. Penkovic saw the defenders coming forward. David Wrench has been invited to run to the defence, and he's absolutely hammered by Jeremy Smith, Ryan Hoffman and Johnson. Goddard's off again, and the ball has gone into touch again, but it's gone off a Melbourne hand, so Halifax will get back-to-back sets to attack that Melbourne line. Mick Govin has dropped a standoff. James Haley being brought on the inside. Chambers with a tackle. Varkoulis will drive it up towards that Melbourne 20. Govin waits at acting half. Penkovic gets the pass away, and Paul Southern drags Halifax towards that Melbourne 10 metre line. Govin from acting half threatened to pass to Gibson and then went to ground. There were 3 men moving in there to carry the scrum half over the touchline, but they didn't get him near enough. Gibson away to Southern to Penkovic. Numbers on that far side for Halifax. Holroyd out wide to Goddard. Goddard for the line. Goddard over. Second try for Halifax, and it looked almost as good as anything Melbourne Storm could put together. Using the full expanse of the field, there was good support play. It went through 6 or 7 pair of hands, and Goddard didn't need Lee Green. We're on that far side as he powered his way over from 8 metres out. And a second try for Halifax, so they've achieved what every NRL club did in Australia last year against the Melbourne Storm in scoring 2 tries. Halifax in double figures. Holroyd with a difficult kick, not finding the mark. Halifax are in double figures. They're back within 12. It's Halifax 10, Melbourne Storm 22. Well, they've been there a couple of times and made the mistake, but this time some fluid rugby, some good passing, good support play, as it should be. And Halifax made it look easy against the Australian champions as they went in at the corner with John Goddard's second try of the night. Well, there's one thing for sure, Halifax are going to struggle to get away from the line this time. Aidan Tolman is on for Melbourne Storm. Liam Foran also 20 and 21 respectively. Halifax appeal for the penalty, well, Sean Penkovic in particular, but nothing coming from Steve Ganson. Long ball, Southern gets it away to Paul Smith. Smith gets it back to Mick Govin. Govin threatens a long pass and then takes the tackle. Last one of this set of 6. Penkovic gets it out wide to Goddard. Greenwood puts it off the boot. Ganson already blown the whistle. It didn't appear to go forward. Halifax fans on the back of Steve Ganson. Not too happy with the referees' 50-50 calls this evening, I think you can call them. They've all seem to have gone against Halifax as Tolman drives the ball up Melbourne back and attacking 22-metre line. Ball goes aground. Chambers will have to go back to recover. Gibson can't make the tackle. And Nielsen is left off down the wing, and 2 Halifax men have collided there, I think, as Slater goes behind the post. Nielsen just able to step away from Damien Gibson. Halifax not recovering sufficiently, and Slater, second try of the evening for the fullback. One of the easiest he'll ever score. Not his most spectacular effort, but again an almost instant response from the Australian champions with Slater's second try. Halifax 10, Melbourne 26. Oh, Billy Slater has been a bit disrespectful as took the conversion attempt. Halifax and Steve Ganson, that's gone 10 metres. You kidding, man? He was a metre inside the Melbourne 40 there, was a Halifax player when he palmed that ball back. He got touch judges that are no help to him. Well, that is scandalous. Not even a 50-50 call. Halifax man in the Melbourne 40 knocks the ball back. Steve Ganson sees fit to award Melbourne another penalty. 21st of this game. 11 penalties to Halifax, 10 to Melbourne. And some of the Melbourne ones have got to be questioned. I think that one in particular was Jeremy Smith. Tries to untangle himself. Melbourne using the forwards with Adam Blair. Cooper Cronk's ball. Short ball. There's a Halifax man left flat out there, and the possession has been spilt. And has it been spilt by the Melbourne Storm? I think it has, but Ganson more concerned about the player who's down on the floor. I'm not sure who it is. There's always a chance of injury in this high impact sport that is rugby league. It's not been short of physicality. There's been a lot of big defensive efforts on both sides. Craig Kopchak being called from the bench, and a stretcher required. It's one of the Halifax forwards that's gone down, I think. And Not sure which one, with all the changes that have gone on it. So it's David Larder. He just sucked in a few lungfuls of air and got back to his feet as David Larder. Well, thankfully he doesn't need assistance to get off the field. It's just one of those impact things that knock the wind out of him a little bit. Danny Heaton back on. No risks being taken. Halifax a 4-day turnaround before they play Keighley on Tuesday. Melbourne Storm a little bit more lucky. They've got a week before they meet Leeds in the World Cup Challenge. But I think to the 99% of the people that are in this crowd this evening, the match on Tuesday against Keighley is far more important than the match that's going on between Melbourne and the Leeds Rhinos next week. But after this performance and backing up from the one on Sunday against Whitehaven, it would be nice to see a lot of the people that are here tonight come and watch Halifax again, because they've not given it in against the one of the world's top two teams. Entertaining rugby and enterprising from Halifax. They're not showing any fear against a much more illustrious team. Kopchak's kick may cause problems. Tolman gets the ball and is swamped by a good chase from Heaton and Craig Kopchak, who was the kicker. Follow showing immense strength to get him up to the 40-metre line. Melbourne managing to keep it alive. Cronk is swamped and hammered to the ground by Richard Varkulis as Melbourne storm forward, as it were, with Carfusi on the last tackle. Aitken shows the ball, but Halifax snuff him out, break down the potential 4-pointer from Melbourne there. Damien Gibson coming in and taking the ball over the 20. No rush from Carfusi to get up off the man that was tackled. Greenwood goes to the ground. Frank Watine will charge the ball up all day. Penkovic gets the ball away, not the best of passes. Danny Heaton gets it to Holroyd, and Holroyd will kick the ball backwards. There's still a scramble on, there's all sorts of a mess about. And did the ball go down? Steve Ganson's decided Melbourne Storm are offside, and I don't think it's a call he made on his own. I think probably a shout in the earpiece there for Ganson. And I think the offside came from the second man that touched the ball, being in front of the first Melbourne Storm player. Well, have Halifax enough to post a third try? Will they get the opportunity to do what no other team did in the whole regular NRL season? Halifax managed to keep it alive. Goddard is finally wrestled down just inside the 40 by Tagataise. Kopchak on the short run, meeting a defence that's moving up quickly. Govin gets the ball away, and James Haley ran onto that with perfect timing, but the defence moving across. The ball out to Holroyd, long kick, and there's problems here, are there? Well, that was brave, I think, from Turner it is, that's been sent back on. Getting across there, Slater taken off after his not showing much respect when he just plonked the ball down with his finger on top and failed with a conversion. Tolman. Frank Watini went for Sika Manu then. I'll go for him again now. This time he's got the ball though, so he's allowed to keep hold of him. Along with Haley, who looked to struggle when he got up there, and Paul Smith. Good pressure from Govin on the kicker, Lee Greenwood. Lee Greenwood fancies the counter-attack. Took the three-man tackle. There's a quick play the ball. Gibson tries to take advantage, but the defence too fast on this occasion. Paul Smith seeing no support outside. Not so long left on the clock now as Watini gets it to Holroyd. Holroyd to Greenwood. Greenwood steps one, but there are reinforcements as Nielsen gets back, but the ball is still released. Halifax keep it moving, and the pass threatened to Greenwood there never came. Greenwood, Miles Greenwood it is, takes it over the 40, namesake Lee Greenwood on that far wing. Kopchak was in support, but it's the last tackle. Holroyd will try to drop one in a little bit of space at the back, and there's a mistake there from Anthony Quinn, which will give Halifax back-to-back sets again. Good pressure from Damien Gibson. Found a weakness in the winger, put the pressure on, and Anthony Quinn couldn't take the ball. Holroyd's kick was a bit of a wicked bounce or skidding along the floor. And will Halifax manage to have the last word? Ganson says play on. It's still not the best of passes. And Miles Greenwood is looking for a way through, and he's almost found it as well. Watini, straight up route one towards the post. Not as easy as it was on Sunday against the Whitehaven forwards, but he's made a good yard or two. Mick Govin drops the ball, and he's not happy with himself. Quinn, who made the mistake, looking to make amends and help his teammates out with a run off the back of the scrum. McDougall back on, only making 4 or 5 metres. Watini all over him. Defence holding tight as Melbourne rely on the big forwards to drive the ball forward, and there's a knock on there from Adam Blair. Halifax will get possession back. 2 minutes left, 6 tackles. Can Halifax keep hold of it for 6 tackles? Mick Govin almost ran into Haley then. Govin, oh, what a tackle from Anthony Quinn. Govin's head went back then. Well, he's got up off the floor, but... and Blair, Quinn in again with a couple of the forwards on Danny Heaton, stopping him on the 20-metre line. Penkovic, long ball out to Holroyd. Holroyd uses the wide ball to Miles Greenwood. Miles Greenwood has his name certainly outside, steps inside. Varcolis. Halifax still on the 20. And Kopchak running against the forwards, and he almost looks small against these Melbourne forwards. Last tackle, Holroyd sliding it. Well, I thought he was going to slide it through on the floor. Chose the air. Steve Turner deputising well at full back. And the biggest crowd that's been at the Shay for some years, 4,053. And here goes Chambers, and Chambers is just ankle tapped by Paul Smith. He goes down just inside the Halifax half. Carfusi runs on to the pass from Aitken. Last tackle, Tolman looking for a kicker to give it to. Greenwood under pressure on that far side, takes the ball well, then comes inside, can't escape the clutches though, defender chasing him all the way. Liam Foran it is, who concedes the penalty, but I don't think there'll be enough time left on the clock for Halifax to get to the other end of the field. Holroyd puts the ball into touch. The last action of a match in front of over 4,000 spectators, where Halifax have stood up and matched Melbourne Storm blow for blow. The second half, well, they tired probably towards the end of the first half, and Melbourne led 14 points to 6. And it was probably a question on the terraces of how many Halifax would concede in the second half. Well, they only conceded 3 tries, scored one of their own. Aitken and McDougall scored 2 tries to really put the match beyond doubt at 22-6, but Halifax didn't cave in. They came back with a second try from John Goddard and could have had a third. I think it was Paul Smith got the ball out cleared on the wide side. The result probably never in doubt. The late try from Slater and a bit cheeky with a kick under the post before he left the field. He's been named man of the match, but Halifax have matched the Australian champions all the way, and a great performance for which 4,000 people turned out for, and maybe a few more of those 4,000 will be down here to see Halifax play Keighley on Tuesday. The final score at the Shay, valiant performance by Halifax against the World Club Championship finalists. Halifax 10, Melbourne Storm 26.
26